Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivagacharya Ashruta Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Charya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivagacharya Ashruta Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hardas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sekho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Gaura Pramanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Rayat Nasta Praisa Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 5, Text 7. Shashtash cha chakshushu chakshusha putrash chakshusho nama vai manuhu puru purusha sudyumna pramukash chakshu shatma jaha shashtascha chakshusho shusha putras chakshusho namavai manahu puru purusha sudyumna pramukash chakshu shamadjaha shashtascha chakshusha putrash chakshusho namavai manuhu puru purusha sudyumna pramukash chakshu shatmajaha shashtascha chakshusha putrash chakshusho namavai manuhu puru purusha sudyumna pramukash chakshu shatmajaha. Please, Chad. Anyone from online would like to chant?
Shash tash chakshusha putrash chakshusho namavai manuhu puru purusha sudyumna Pramukash chakshu shamabjaha.
Thank you. Synonyms. Shashtaha, the sixth. Cha, and. Chakshushaha, of Chakshu. Putraha, the son. Chakshushaha, Chakshusha. Nama, named. Vai, indeed. Manuhu, Manu. Puru, Puru. Purusha, Purusha. Sudyumna, Sudyumna. Pramukhaha, headed by. Chakshusha Atmajaha, the sons of Chakshusha. Translation. The son of Chakshu, known as Chakshusha, was the sixth Manu. He had many sons headed by Puru, Purusha, and Sudyumna. We're going to be reading a few verses, and the 16th text will have a purport. So we'll continue. During the reign of Chakshusha Manu, the king of heaven was known as Mantra Druma. Among the demigods were the Apyas, and among the great sages were Havishman and Viraka. In the sixth Manvantar millennium, Lord Vishnu, the master of the universe, appeared in his partial expansion. He was beguiled by Vairagya in the womb of his wife, Devasambhuti, and his name was Ajita. By churning the ocean of milk, Ajita produced nectar for the demigods in the form of a tortoise. He moved here and there, carrying on his back the great mountain known as Mandara. King Pariksha inquired, "O great Brahmana, Shukadev Goswami, why and how did Lord Vishnu churn the ocean of milk? For what reason did he stay in the water as a tortoise and hold up Mandara mountain? How did the demigods obtain the nectar, and what other things were produced from the churning of the ocean? Kindly describe all these wonderful activities of the Lord. My heart, which is disturbed by the three miserable conditions of material life, is not yet sated with hearing you describe the glorious activities of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the master of the devotees." Sri Sutta Goswami said, "O learned Brahmanas assembled here at Naimisharanya, when Shukadev Goswami, the son of Dvaipayana, was thus questioned by the king, he congratulated the king and then endeavored to describe further the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead." Text 15 and 16. Shukadev Goswami said, "When the Asuras, with their serpent weapons, severely attacked the demigods in the fight, many of the demigods fell and lost their lives. Indeed, they could not be revived. At that time, O king, the demigods had been cursed by Durvasa Muni. The three worlds were poverty-stricken, and therefore ritualistic ceremonies could not be performed. The effects of this were very serious." Purport. It is described that while Durvasa Muni was passing on the road, he saw Indra on the back of his elephant and was pleased to offer Indra a garland from his own neck. Indra, however, being too puffed up, took the garland, and without respect for Durvasa Muni, he placed it on the trunk of his carrier elephant. The elephant, being an animal, could not understand the value of the garland And thus the elephant threw the garland between its legs and smashed it. Seeing this insulting behavior, Durvasa Muni immediately cursed Indra to be poverty-stricken. Bereft of all material opulence, thus the demigods, afflicted on one side by the fighting demons, and on the other side the curse of Durvasa Muni, lost all the material opulences in the three worlds. To be extremely opulent in materialistic advancement is sometimes very risky. The materially opulent person does not care about anyone, and thus he commits offenses to great personalities, such as devotees and great saints. This is the way of material opulence. As described by Shukadeva Goswami, Dana Durma Danda. Too much wealth makes one blind. This happens even to Indra in his heavenly kingdom, and what to speak of others in this material world. When one is materially opulent, he should learn to be sober and well-behaved toward Vaiṣṇavas and saintly persons, otherwise he will fall down. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. So this is the theme here. It's about pride and material opulence, how it causes one to be blind. On my way here, after dropping off Maharaj, I saw, he lives near this gym, and people are there already, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I was thinking how they're working so hard, to get the perfect body. And I was comparing these achievements to devotional service. Even when one becomes a famous football player or a basketball player, eventually they must grow old, and then their talents diminish. And then they can no longer be a football player. But whereas devotional service, it doesn't depend on circumstances. Even when you're a child, you can do some service for Krishna. And even at an old age, you can perform devotional service to Krishna. So devotional service is eternal. And we're practicing it in this life as well as the afterlife. So devotional service is very glorious. That was just one realization that I had. In the start of Kali Yuga, there was this, Srila Prabhupada said, this black man, this low-class Shudra, and he was dressed like a king. Does anyone know who this king was? Kali, personified. And Kali was beating the legs of a cow, and said that he already beat 3 of these legs, and only one was standing, it was shaking. Does anyone know what leg that was? What did it represent? Truthfulness. What about the 3 other legs? What were they? Cleanliness? Austerity? Huh? Mercy. And Srila Prabhupada, he says that in Kali Yuga, the last leg, which represents truthfulness, is almost, it's very weak right now. And then Srila Prabhupada, he says, by pride, either artificial or real, the resulting action of austerity is spoiled. So pride destroys austerity. And too much affection for female association, cleanliness is spoiled. And by too much addiction to intoxication, mercy is spoiled. And by too much lying propaganda, truthfulness is spoiled. You have so many people that are dissatisfied with, the government and society because they can understand there's this lying propaganda. Parikshit Maharaj, he was very angry at this king. And Parikshit Maharaj told him to get away from his kingdom. And then this Kali, he said, but king, I'm also one of your citizens, so you should allow me to have a place to go. So Parikshit Maharaj, he gave him he restricted him with 4 things. He said you can go anywhere where these 4 things are found. Intoxication, slaughterhouses, gambling, and illicit sex. And then Kali, he said, my dear king, in your kingdom there is nowhere where this can be found. And Srila Prabhupada points out that this is the duty of a Kshatriya, is that he makes sure that the citizens, they fulfill their duties for spiritual advancement. And this is how wonderful Vaishnava kings would rule the kingdoms. They would make sure that everyone's happy, both materially and spiritually. And then Kali, being very cunning, he said, please allow me to have one place where I can go. Does anyone know where the king allowed him to go? Where there's gold. And the Srila Prabhupada, he says, this is the pillar for sinful life. Because when one obtains gold, he can go to the slaughterhouses, he can go to gambling houses, he can go to prostitute houses. I guess they would call them gentlemen's club. And then so Srila Prabhupada, he makes this comparison. Just like a person with jaundice, there's yellowing of the eyes and yellowing of the skin. And you guys may not know this, but they also pass gold stool, yellowish stool. I remember I was working, and one of the nurses told me, "Hey, come check this out." Sorry to be gruesome, but when I saw it, it looked like gold. Like, what is this, And the Srila Prabhupada, he says that materialistic person, they're interested in this color of stool, this goldish color. And so now I'll be speaking about, humility, the opposite of pride. Before the start of the Kurukshetra war, Yudhishthira Maharaj, the eldest of the Pandavas, he approached Bhishmadev. And Bhishmadev, he was the disciple of Parshurama, an incarnation of Krishna. And he taught him everything, any type of weapon, he taught Bhishmadev how to use. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj was approaching Bhishmadev, the Kurus, they were actually making fun of him. They said, look at this coward. Now, before the start of the war, he's approaching Bhishma and is asking him to please surrender. But Yudhishthira Maharaj, he dismissed these remarks and he offered his obeisances to Bhishmadev. And Bhishmadev was very pleased. He smiled and he said, my dear son, if you did not come here, I would have killed you. So he asked Yudhishthira Maharaj, what can I do for you? And first Yudhishthira Maharaj, he glorified his grandfather. And then he said, if you can give me one thing, please give me the knowledge of how to kill you. Yudhishthira Maharaj was so virtuous and righteous, He even went to the enemy and asked him, how can I vanquish you in this war? And Bhishmadev, he received this boon from his father, that he can die at will. Imagine that. And Srila Prabhupada, they described Bhishmadev as very elderly, and he was 90 years old, but he was so capable of causing havoc. And then Bhishmadev told him, you can't kill me. He said, ask me this another time. So then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he approached Dronacharya, his teacher that taught him everything. And he said, my dear teacher, I seek your blessing. Please give me the courage to fight this war, to beat my enemies. And then Dronacharya also blessed him. He said, if you did not come here in humility, I would have cursed you actually. So then he blessed him and said, what can I do for you? And just like Bhishmadev, he said, he said, you can't kill me. He said, there's a few circumstances where you can. He said, only when I drop my weapons, only if my senses are bewildered, then you can kill me. And he said, now go and fight this war. Not only did Yudhishthira Maharaj approach these two personalities, but he also approached Kripacharya, their first martial teacher. Because Kripa taught him the material weapons, whereas Dronacharya taught him how to shoot celestial weapons. So he asked Kripacharya, how can I kill you in this war? And then Kripacharya said, my death is already assured. Just concentrate on fulfilling your duty. And then he went to Shalva, this king, and then he asked the same thing, how can I kill you? And Shalva said, he actually made a promise to Arjuna that during the war, I'm going to distract Duryodhana. Do you guys know this pastime? No. When Duryodhana was fighting in the battle, the war, Shalva would taunt him, you know. He would call him like, you know, you're not a real Kshatriya, you're not a real warrior. And so this way Duryodhana is distracted. So he said, I'm going to keep that promise when the war begins. Yeah. So then he went back. So just imagine the character of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And after the war, when Lord Krishna was wrapping up his pastimes, and when he went back to spiritual world, the Kurus, or the Pandavas, they felt like there was nothing to live for. So they headed north toward the Himalayas. And then, one by one, each of these personalities fell down. The first person was Draupadi. And Bhima asked, you know, Draupadi was born out of a divine birth. You know, how can she fall? And it says that Yudhishthira Maharaj didn't even look back to answer. He just continued. Does anyone know why Draupadi fell? Yudhishthira Maharaj explained that although she was impartial to her husbands, she was very affectionate to Arjuna. So that's how she fell. The next person was Sahadev. And then Bhima asked, how is this virtuous brother of ours, how can he fall? And then Yudhishthira Maharaj explained that Sahadev, he was very proud of his wisdom, and he thought that no one can compare to him. So that's how he fell. And then the next person was Nakula. And then Bhima asked again, you know, how did this brother of ours fell? And it said that Nakula was very proud of his beauty. So that's how he fell. And then Arjuna fell. And then Bhima, yeah, they just dropped. They fell dead. Traveling up north in the Himalayas. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then yeah, but it said they fell down dead. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said that he was very proud of his weaponry, you know, his martial knowledge. And then Bhima, he fell, and he was looking at Yudhishthira Maharaj. And he said, brother, what have I done? And then Yudhishthira Maharaj explained that you're a very great eater. And so when you eat, you don't consider others. That's how you fell. And then it was described that there was a little dog that was following Yudhishthira Maharaj. And then Indra came with his carrier and asked Yudhishthira Maharaj to come on this chariot, and he'll take him to the heavenly world. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj said, if you take me, you have to take this dog too. And the Westerners, they may not believe it, but Indra said, there's no place in heaven for dogs. Yeah. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj, he refused, he declined. He said, I can't go if this dog can't come with me. He said, this dog took shelter of me. He said, if one who is surrendered, if one is weak, I give him protection and I cannot leave him. And this dog suddenly manifested as his father, Dharmaraj or Yamaraj. So he took him to on his chariot, and then he saw Duryodhana in the heavenly world sitting and enjoying, And then Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, why is Duryodhana here? And then Indra, he said he fought a very glorious battle. Because Kshatriyas, when they die in battle, they automatically attain the heavenly planets. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj asked, please take me where my brothers are. So Indra said, okay. So he took him, and all of a sudden he saw this place engulfed in darkness. He saw rivers of mucus, feces, and and then he heard crying and from other living entities. And then he said, how can I be here? Where's my brothers? So he said, please take me back to Indra. And right before he was going to leave, he heard his brothers yelling for him. Please don't leave us, So Yudhishthira Maharaj, he said, you can go back. I'm going to stay here with my brothers in hell. And Indra was so pleased by this. And then when all the other demigods came, they actually dissipated this illusion. And then Indra said something interesting. He says, those that leave this world, first they suffer their sinful reactions first. So they go to hell, and then they go to their destination. And it said, because you Pandavas, you, Yudhishthira Maharaj, you lied when it came to telling Dronacharya. So that's why you're experiencing hell. But Indra explained that actually you're all eternal associates of the Lord. Wherever he goes, you also follow. So, and Yudhishthira Maharaj, he didn't care about the heavenly pleasures. He said, let Duryodhana stay there, I'll be here with my brothers. And another wonderful example of humility is Sanatana Goswami. When he first met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took a straw between his teeth and he grasped the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya. A lot of people in this world, they see sometimes humility or kindness as for weakness. But Lord Krishna, he really, really respects this quality of devotees. There was once a Brahmin that was reading the Bhagavad Gita. And this is in the CC. And all these other people, they were making fun of this Brahmin. And Lord Chaitanya was very curious. He approached this Brahmin, and then he saw him crying, actually. He said, I see that you're reading Bhagavad Gita. And then this Brahmin can tell that he wasn't joking with him, but he was really serious. So he said, my dear sir, I'm actually illiterate. I can't read. But my spiritual master, he gave me an order to read Bhagavad Gita every day. And they said, although I can't read, when I have this Bhagavad Gita in my hand, I just start crying. And then Lord Chaitanya said, why? Even though you can't see, why are you crying? And this Brahmin, although you can't read, and they said, even though I can't read, I can feel it. He said, when I pick up this Bhagavad Gita, I imagine Lord Krishna on the chariot of Arjuna. And he said, how wonderful and kind Krishna is. He's willing to he's willing to do service for his devotees, and he began crying. And then Lord Chaitanya actually embraced this Brahmana. And they said, actually, you understood the real purport or the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. So in the purport, it mentions how when someone is too puffed up with material opulence, sometimes they are blinded by this. And some of them are very cruel, What did I say? It's very difficult for a rich man to go to heaven. And what's the next line?
More difficult than riding a camel through the eye of a needle.
Yeah. Because Maharaj was telling me, there was this one movie. It was called like The Candidate or something like that. And he saw how corrupt the government or the presidents were. So he made a vow. He said, when I run for president, I'm going to be very truthful. I'm going to make the people the first priority. And he was, continuing his presidency campaign or whatever, his journey. And then he found out when he finally became president, he was just like the crooked people that he hated the most. Because, politics, all of that corrupts a person's good judgments. And sometimes you have to sacrifice, They say, choose one poison or the other, something like that. Yeah, so we should be very careful. And another thing too is many people, when they commit offenses to great personalities, this is another way where they can fall down from devotional service, things like that. Just like Indra, he disregarded the garland of Durvasa Muni, and he gave it to his elephant, and this elephant just smashed it to pieces. So without showing humility, without showing proper etiquette, sometimes these are one of the ways we may fall down. So we should be very careful. And the purport said, one who is materially opulent, he should learn to be sober and well behaved towards Vaiṣṇavas and saintly persons. Otherwise, he will fall down. So like people are saying, this is a cautionary tale. Okay, there's 5 minutes. Are there any discussions or comments or questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Vijay Krishna Prabhu.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, you know better than me that if humility is not present in Krishna, then humility cannot be present in us. So based on this, my question is, any instance where I would find Krishna being humble? That is my question.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, Krishna took the position or the role of a charioteer, chariot driver for his disciple or for his devotee, Arjuna. But in the Nectar of Devotion, it stated, the qualities of Krishna. Let me see if I can find it. Does anyone else here can remember any?
Yeah.
Yes, Roberto.
Very famous one. Rajasuya. There was a greeting all the guests, and each of the personalities had a role to play. And Krishna took the role of watching the feet of all the guests.
Exactly. Sorry, Vijay Krishna Prabhu. There's so many chapters. Okay.
No problem. The two examples that you already gave, you and Dravida Prabhu already gave, that is enough. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? 16.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu, please.
So most or all of the opulences can predispose someone to falling down or having a inflated false ego or whatever you want to say. One that we don't really talk about a lot is actually renunciation as an opulence and how it can. Anyway, do you want to comment about that?
Sure. I think it was Radhanath Swami. He said, "Don't be attached to detachment," something like that. So yeah, renunciation basically just means yukta vairagya, proper renunciation, using our material possessions for Krishna's service. In this way, we are always reminded that this actually doesn't belong to me, and I should use this for Krishna's service. And then when one thinks like that, he has the proper state of mind of renunciation.
Comment to make on that?
Yes, Rudy.
There was a devotee here for years, I think Balaram may have met, Mahavishnu Swami. And before he was a Swami, he was a brahmachari. And I remember I happened to be in Vrindavan with him, we were both standing on line to get prasadam, you know. And I asked him, as I would do at that time, I said, would you like to hear a nice shloka? And he said, yes. And he pulled out a little pad to take notes, you know. So that was interesting. And then he taught me one, which talks about this vairagya, getting too attached to vairagya. So that verse is, De heshti mang surudire mi vatam chijasva, jaya sutara chisatam vatam vamuncha, pashyani sam chakaditam chanabhangatishtam, vairagya raga rasakobhava bhakti nishtam.
Can we have the translation, please?
Yeah. Don't love the body, just a bag of flesh and blood and bone. Give up your sense of ownership for wife and kids at home. At every moment, see that this world totters on destruction. Become detached and learn to love the Lord without obstruction. Now, that last line, I didn't give the exact, you know, the poetry, I have to kind of leave things out sometimes. So the phrase vairagya raga literally means become attached to detachment. But then the question is how? Through becoming a rasika, being able to relish by your purity and your sincerity, you know, Krishna consciousness. And that's actually the organic vairagya. You don't try for separately, but it manifests if you can really cultivate that. But it's interesting that that very phrase, become attached to detachment, is in that verse from the Padma Purana.
Thank you for the clarification, Ravita Prabhu. Okay, thank you for all your efforts for the Gaur Purnim festival we had yesterday. It was very joyful, you know. It was a large crowd, and you know they were waiting in the cold wind yesterday to honor prasadam, and the devotees also helped with cleaning the temples, you know, the kitchen, and I thought we put on a wonderful play, you know. Everyone seemed to be very positive about it. So thank you very much. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki